moment we're waiting for. Here we are with His Holiness in person. Please welcome His Holiness with a thunderous applause and with all your affection and love. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Your Holiness, our heartiest thank you for coming here today en route, a long travel to the US, Mexico, and Europe. And his trip starts this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, please savor the time as you receive this teaching centered around mindfulness, compassion, and secular ethics. As for secular ethics, His Holiness has a very interesting viewpoint which explains how secularism applies to both believers and non-believers. One of his latest books, Holiness's latest books, is Secular Ethics. I have arranged 100 books, 100 copies with our compliments. If we run short, the book can be ordered online or purchased in any leading bookstore in Delhi. The session will follow a 40 minutes question and answer period as well. Now, please receive your blessings from His Holiness. Thank you. I think I go there.
Respected brothers, and of course, the brothers and sisters, I always, as a start, express brothers, sisters, because my fundamental belief is 7 billion human beings, same human being, same right, same potential. Also, I think I may say 7 billion, everybody have some kind of problems. So I think the very purpose of this meeting is how to solve, at least how to lessen these problems. So if we think on the human level, then no barrier. If I stress, I'm Tibetan, I'm Buddhist, then if I stress, I'm His Holiness Dalai Lama, no use. It just creates myself, you isolate from you, distance. Result, I feel lonely. I consider you another human brother, sisters, no barrier. And immediately, you see, we emotionally, mentally, very close each other. So I believe trust is the, I think, key factor to achieve happy days and happy lives. Fear, distrust, suspicion always bring fear. So, in any way, indeed, I am very, very happy come to here, meeting with you. So I would like to express my thank, my long time, my friend, very spiritual-minded person, meantime, very professional. Professional. Then, the
Global Spa and Wellness Summit.
spa. What is the meaning? Spa.
Spa是他们春天，这节春天节了，是吧？
Then wellness somewhere.
Wellness long.
Wellness, it seems I understand. So important thing is wellness.
No.
In order to achieve happy life, firstly, physical well-being is very important. Then wellness must include happy mind, as I mentioned earlier. Ultimately, mental attitude, more compassionate as a mental attitude. I feel that's, I think, the ultimate source of happy life, as I mentioned earlier. Trust, friendship, very much based on open, warm-heartedness. I think real happiness, I think in that, the warm-heartedness, more important role than brilliant brain. Sometimes I think wonderful sort of brilliant sort of mind sometimes creates more anxiety, more worry. I think everybody have the same experience. Too much sort of vision, too much ambition, and more sort of stress, more worry. Then trust each other, really trust. Consider as a human brother, human sister. Although your material sort of field may not be very rich, but very happy. Even sort of poor condition or poor meals, together with full trust, much happier. Then I think those also the successful gentlemen or ladies, sort of a lot of sort of facilities like this is a big hotel, and many guests, everybody smiling, but in deep inside, a little bit, jealousy, too much competitive sort of feeling. This, you see, creates some stress. And also, you see, if you too much sort of stress, you yourself sort of importance, then it also creates sort of act of
Pretension.
Or pretension. And also hypocrisy. It's more sort of pretension, because of pretension, hypocrisy, more stress, more worry. So I think real sort of I always telling people, everybody want a happy life. But usually, you see, we too much stress the material value, material facility. Always talking about money. But then, obviously, very sort of successful materially, very successful sort of family or individual, not necessarily very happy person. too much stress, too much worry. So ultimate source of happiness is within ourselves. That's warm-heartedness. So now here, wellness. As a result of meeting with many medical scientists and also brain specialists, right now it become quite clear. The happy mind, peaceful mind is the key factor for a healthy body. So, you see, as a result of discussion with such sort of experienced, sort of realistic people, now you see, we are sort of saying healthy mind, healthy body. So also you see, we sort of now create some kind of concept, hygiene of physical, in order to get a healthy body. But equally is the important hygiene of emotion, so that your mental state also can be more calm, more peaceful. So that I would like to share with you. Now, this is 21st century. Past century already passed. The tremendous sort of violence, although 20th century, a lot of development, a lot of achievement in the scientific field or technology in these fields, and also education field, I think, and the health also. Meantime, according to some historian, the 20th century, within the 20th century, over 200 million of people killed, and also use nuclear weapon during Second World War. Me personally, I think first visit, one occasion I visited Hiroshima, Nagasaki. So many years ago. So actually I met some victims, one few old lady who actually is victimized, right? No,
victims. No.
Oh. And small museum. Showing how much sort of suffering or how much damage. Of course now, everywhere of the planet, now people really now begin feel fed about violence. And even though leaders, or big nations, one time they really, you see, they full of enthusiasm to build more weapon, more nuclear weapon like that. Now these very people now talking how to reduce. It's, I think, a good sign. So in any way, now this is 21st century. They're only over 1 decade passed. Over 8 decades now. Almost 9 decades yet to come. So there is opportunity to build more happier century, peaceful century. Through that way, 7 billion human beings, according to some sort of information, the end of this century, human population will reach 10 billions. And also the global warming, due to global warming, I think natural disaster also will increase. So there are, I think, a lot of potential to create more sort of suffering, more problem. So now natural disaster, we cannot control. But then, those problems which we ourselves created there, you see, we can do these problems, man-made problems, can reduce. That's in our own hand. So therefore, this century should be century of peace, century of non-violence. And then, again, violence not created by weapon itself. Weapon, no mind, no emotion, but person, people, human being. Animal also, you see, never uses a weapon, right? No. Or perhaps some monkey or some sort of, some even birds use some stick, right? No. Stick. Some small worms like that. But otherwise, you see, no sophisticated weapon used by animals, only we human beings, because of this intelligence. And this intelligence, marvelous intelligence, combined with hatred, anger, greed, then we really dangerous species of mammal. This is a wonderful sort of intelligence combined with compassion, love, sense of concern of others' well-being. As a human brothers, sisters, and your own future much depends on them. We are a social animal. No matter how successful individual, their future, happy future, entirely depend on the rest of the society, rest of the humanity. So therefore, others is actually basis of individuals' happy future. So we must take care of their sort of well-being. We must develop sense of concern of their well-being. Once that sort of concept on that sort of feeling there, then no room to kill, no room to cheat, no room to tell lie, bully. Because you yourself voluntarily take their well-being, care of their well-being. Now here, I think I would like to share how to promote warm-heartedness or compassion. Now my spiritual friend, if you give me permission, then I would like to say, without religion, without spirituality, without yellow dress, without sort of talking about religion, about God, about Buddha, about next life, simply, you see, in order to create happy humanity, happy world. As I mentioned earlier, by nature, naturally, we are a social animal. Any social animal, cooperation is very essential. Cooperation, genuine cooperation, not by force, but by volunteer, that comes through trust. Trust comes from sense of concern of their well-being. Then trust comes. So therefore, you see, these are, I usually call, secular ethics, without touching religious belief. That can be universal. Otherwise, you see, no matter how, or say, a wonderful religion, never be universal. Problem is universal problem. So the method to deal this universal problem also must be universally acceptable. And the secular, you know very well, you see, according to Indian understanding, secular does not mean disrespect religion, but rather respect all religions. No preference, this religion or that religion, And also, according Indian understanding about secularism, is also the respect non-believer. I think that is very, very relevant to today's world. I think some report is mentioned few months ago. I saw out of 7 billion human beings, about over 1 billion human beings, formally they say non-believer. So these people, firstly, they're also human beings, human brothers, sisters. They also need happy life. So these non-believers, usually, you see, never pay attention about practice of love, compassion, because you see, they felt these are religious practice. So, person who have not much interest about these things, about religion, they also, you see, completely neglect about these values. So now, through secular education, we must introduce, in order to achieve physical well-being, we must achieve mental well-being. Not through prayer, not through spiritual sort of message, but through education. Education based on scientific findings. And also use of common experience. I always was telling, now for example here, people outwardly, everybody is a very successful life. But deep inside, those individuals who at a young age received maximum affection from one's own mother or father or friends, such people, deep inside, much happier, less fear. Those individuals, outwardly, very smart, but in deep inside, those individuals who received lacking affection from our mother, or sometimes even abuse. So such people, rest of their life, in deep inside, some kind of fear, sense of insecurity. So that automatically develops suspicion, distrust. So that's our common experience. So we all, from our mother, we all received mother's milk with affection. So that's the original, also the source of affection. When person who received maximum affection from other, particularly from mother or parent, they have more sort of potential to show other affection. So that's the common experience. Then common sense also, you see, we can see those family, those individuals who are surrounded by, full of affection, with trust, much happier, as I mentioned before. Then most important, scientific finding. Some medical scientist, you see, actually is telling me, hatred, anger, fear, constantly sort of experience, then actually you see, these emotions actually eating our immune system. So I think obviously those people who deep inside are unhappy due to distrust or fear or jealousy or these things, I think usually you see relying on alcohol or sometimes drugs. So they actually is much sort of worry, much stress here, unhappy mental state, actually ruin because of physical health. So I just also want to share you the wellness should include also the healthy mind right now. So think these things. And then we all part of the humanity. You see, we all have, this is, so that no matter how limited, but still we have opportunity or potential to make a contribution. Better humanity. Better humanity, happier humanity, not come from sky, not from God, but our own effort. So one individual, you see, share with your family member, and one family member share 10 family members, 100 family members. That's the way, you see, to develop certain sort of, a certain concept. So when we talk about global, sometimes we feel too big, very tiny. But if you think more realistic way, the human society, humanity is combination of individual. So change of the humanity first start from individual, not government, even not United Nations. I think we individual have this sort of, I think, potential making sort of contribution. So, as I mentioned earlier, just a simple Buddhist monk as a human being. So try my own share, make some contribution. More happier humanity, irrespective whether believer or non-believer. So now that is okay, sufficient? then now, as you already sort of mentioned, question and answer. So I always see very happy question and answer. Through that way, I also get some sort of new ideas. And also I know through questions, the questioner's minds, what is top most concern. That also I know something through questions. So I would like to take question and answer. Now I sit there. I think generally speaking, my physical health, quite okay. I think according to sort of my medical checkup annually, or next month, I will come your, December 9th. Oh, yes. No. December 9th. So through my own experience, it is quite sort of clear. What happened? Okay. Need doctor? Oh, okay. I think because of overweight. That also part of well-being. So I just want, so my physical condition seems to see, I think, very much related with peace of mind. But this problem here, peace of mind, not much effect about this problem. So when I stand up or sitting, I acting like person whose age 90 or like that. Very difficult. So I think my peace of mind, I think, completely failed to to bring healthy knees. But the physical, very good, no problem. No blood pressure, no sugar, nothing, very good. So through my own experiences, I can tell you, peace of mind, no matter what circumstances, if we really sort of expect peace of mind from sort of positive atmosphere, difficult. Now here, I think really useful. There's not much sort of concern about external sort of environment situation, but you yourself, you see, try to pay more attention about our internal sort of potential, right? Warm-heartedness. So, warm-heartedness. Then, no matter how difficult situation, you can keep peace of mind. And with peace of mind, you can deal the problem better. Without peace of mind, too much emotion, then sometimes dealing with the real problem, more difficult. Because, you see, with too much emotion, you can't see the reality. So the method to deal these problem often become unrealistic. So any sort of problem must deal with realistic way. In order to realistic way, you see, you should know the reality. In order to know the reality, your mind must be calm. With calm mind, you can see the things objectively. Too much emotion, you can't see the reality. Clear? So therefore, peace of mind is something very, very important. This is not just a religious sort of message. All major religious tradition, I believe, based on secular ethics. All religion except importance of love, whether theistic religion or non-theistic religion, all talks about importance of love, compassion. In order to promote these deeper human value, then different religious traditions use different philosophical views, philosophical method, philosophical sort of concept, like that. So now questions.
You articulated the negative emotions, anger, greed, avarice. Are there specific steps that we can take when we first recognize those to let go of them? What do we do internally to be able to step back, to be able to restore the inner balance?
That's knowledge. Once we have sort of the fuller knowledge or awareness about harmfulness about this emotion, then once you realize these are harmful emotion, that awareness itself, you see, makes differences. Usually, you see, we don't care about anger, about hatred. We feel something wrong, so I develop anger. We consider something normal. So once we realize, now for example, within your sort of community, someone who really is the one to harm you, if you notice, oh, that person is really thinking something harming to me, once you realize that, you take some caution. If you do not know there's a harmfulness about that person, then that may take opportunity. Clear? Like that. Mind also, because of that, inner world also, you see, these different emotions, part of our mind. But then, through awareness, some of these emotions are very harmful. I usually, you see, doctor also, usually advise, now take rest. So that's the advice, actually aiming to reduce stress, isn't it? Too much sort of anxiety, right? No. Then, too much sort of stress, and then anger, this come. Completely sort of relax. That's usually the doctor advice like that, isn't it? So relax means your mind completely sort of peaceful, or sort of calm. Relax does not mean just, you see, on bed, sort of lay down, and full of anger, full of fear is, you cannot say that's a full relaxation, right? Relaxation means is a mind calm. Clear. So these through awareness, through, as I mentioned earlier, through education. So usually, you see, I call, say, in order to educate hygiene of emotion or hygiene of mind, we should sort of, you should sort of provide sort of information about map of mind, map of emotion. As far as I think psychology or these subject is concerned, I think Indian sort of ancient psychology, very rich, including Buddhism, Buddhist psychology. The Indian tradition where practice of single-pointed mind, shamatha, and sort of what's the insight, vipassana, these are matters of quality. So in order to train these things, you have to sort of explain about function of mind or emotion. So the ancient Indian sort of psychology, very rich. And modern sort of science, in the field of psychology, still, you see, not much to develop. I think that these brilliant scientists, their main sort of, so the energy or main sort of their focus, I think potential pay more matters. So as far as knowledge about matter is concerned, they compare ancient Indian sort of the knowledge of modern science is much sort of advanced. As far as emotion, mind is concerned, ancient sort of Indian sort of psychology is much more sort of advanced. Now, I think the time comes. Combine these both traditions.
Yes.
Not as a religion, as a sort of part of education. Through training, I mean, through education. So we already is working with help of some sort of people, some scientists, some educationists. We already, you see, discussing or trying to make some kind of draft, right? Now, draft the secular ethics and purely the secular way, therefore, so that, you see, can be include secular education field. So here, simply, you see, they mention or explain about mind, about emotion. There are, I think, several hundreds different sort of emotions. Once we know these emotions, how it develops, how it interrelated, then it's better to tackle these emotions. So that's the only way. A prayer, pray to, I'm Buddhist. When I develop my anger, pray to Buddha, not much help. I think Christian brothers, I think if you really fully develop your anger or fear, just pray to God, Jesus Christ, may not much help. So, logically, from the Buddhist viewpoint, logically, you see, these destructive emotions, see, develop within yourself. So the antidote also must develop within yourself. Not seeking something from outside, no.
You, one of the new areas in medical science, and talking about how the mind and brain interact, is in the field of genetics. And there is a trend of thought that if we know the human genome, if we map the genetics for the human body, that it would predict everything about our health and illness, about our disease, about our wellness. That's one path. That's a very Western, biological, physical, reductionistic model.
Yes.
There's another, which is epigenetic, which is epigenetic.
Gene,
Yeah.
mind, development.
Yeah, yes. That the mind, the nutrition, the environment, pharmaceuticals interact with our genes, that our choices govern and change our genes. We are more regulators of our genes than victims of our genetic code. Can you think through your thoughts about that?
Of course, my own knowledge is very limited, but as a result of a discussion with medical scientists or scientists from different sort of field, now last over 30 years. So now, as I mentioned earlier, the brain specialist, through their own experiment, now they found even because of the brain, you see, can change out of sort of mental training,
No.
through mental training.
Brain plasticity.
Or they did it.
So it's neuroplasticity.
Neuroplasticity.
Oh,
Yes.
actually, you see, increase
Yes.
or change
Yes.
through just the sheer sort of use of mental energy.
Yes.
So already, this is some scientists through their years sort of experiment. Now they find brain and mind. Of course, they heavily interdependent. However, through training of mind, can change our brain. So I think you see there is close sort of connection. Of course, the purely physical level, I think the matter sort of because of the particles and the physical particle, even brain particle, I think itself, I think more or less I think same. But then differences, you see these things, the particles, you see changing, develop their own sort of natural way, due to its causes and environmental conditions. I think some scientists, actually I asked, you see, when conception takes place, the healthy sort of mother, or because of the healthy sort of egg, healthy egg, and sort of healthy sort of also the semen. Simply these two things, see, join. Not 100% sure life start. Do you have some explanation about that? I asked some scientist, very well-known scientist. He said, not very sure, not 100% sure. If that is the case, then there must be a third factor. Physical level, because of the healthy sort of what's the semens and mother's eggs combine, join, but still not necessarily take life. Now we need is a further sort of investigation. Then also you see the dead person, physically dead, clinically dead, but after that, you see body remain 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, sometimes 4 weeks remain very fresh. So some scientists now already, you see, showing interest and carry some sort of experiment, right? Investigation. Such sort of dead person's body with some wire put on their head and watching. So, clinically, already dead. The brain already dead. So these are, I think, the phenomena which, so far, you see, scientists, modern science is mainly concerned about matter, because the method itself, you see, observation. Then the third person, watching, observed by third person. Mind, much depends on subjective.
Subjective experience. Subjective experience.
Subjective sort of experiences. And then you cannot see. The mind is not matter. Just very subtle energy. So now, I think the late 20th century, say 1980s, 90s, now the early part of this 21st century, more and more scientists, now well-known scientists, now begin to show interest. So accordingly, they carry some investigation. So I think within the next, say, 20, 30, 40 years, I think a new knowledge may develop. So far, about our inner world is concerned, I think knowledge in the modern science, I think very limited. Now we must sort of, as is sort of today, in order to modern science become fuller, complete. I think we must sort of include experiment or investigation about mind. Yes, I think even if the subject as a science, as a knowledge itself, I think we must sort of develop about the inner world, not only external world. Then also, I often see, sometimes teasing scientists, the scientists also have the emotion. So some scientists, very happy person, some scientists ready to lose patience. So you see, but the scientists, the great scientists, always look outside, not looking inward, isn't it? Now time comes. I think must be sort of full of knowledge about external thing as well as internal thing. I think I believe science, so science, I think further develop. Those genuine scientists, their mind is truly unbiased. Their mind very open, skeptical, open, wonderful. Sometimes we religious people, my spiritual brother and myself, sometimes our mind may a little bit biased. And this also, I think. You also. Okay, yes.
In the whole context of wellness, and disease arises, we've heard from a number of people today who have overcome remarkable odds, and you've talked about your knee. What is a healthy way to have a disease? How do we cope with disease? How do we learn the lesson? How do we incorporate that and keep moving forward into wellness, even with disease, even with the illness?
I think that I really see, because of that, I really don't know how to tackle the difficulties. However, I think holistic view, I always stress when I myself, you see, even if there's some illness, some sort of sick, right? If you just think about this, that pain, that illness, more frustrations. I think, for example, as I mentioned earlier, if I too much sort of concerned about my needs, then more worry. Well, when I received the invitation from you, then if I too much sort of stress this problem, then I may say now I cannot attend because of my needs. But this is part of the problem. But basically, my health, my mind, okay. So then no problem. So similarly, you see, I think sometimes we too much sort of look problem, too much sort of narrow. Then that problem appears something unbearable. If you look the same problem from a wider perspective, then I think much easier to cope with. To cope with that problem, that pain. I think for the whole sort of problem, I always look from wider perspective. And then there's one problem, yes. My intelligence say, yes, this is a problem. We have to deal with that problem. But because of the wider perspective, then still, you see, a lot of room to keep enthusiasm, courage, hope. So I think someone, you see, who has some sort of illness, but then of course, illness, you see, there's some sort of damage to our brain, you see, cannot speak, cannot move, then not much to do, isn't it? Right. But otherwise, you see, just day before yesterday, when I give teaching, there are many people. You see, when I'm entering, because entering way, because of entering the hall, there's one Tibetan, old Tibetan, there. You see, his hand, left hand, I think due to some stroke way. Like that, you can move. And I asked him, so anyone in your home, anyone who look after you, he said no. And how to make food? I use this hand. But this is cannot use. But still, you see, in his face, full of confidence. If a weak person, mentally, then, now I cannot move, I cannot work, always complain. Isn't it? I think they much sort of depend on mental attitude. This is his case now, left hand, useless. Very sad. But he thinking more, you see, the right hand, you see, because of that, carry all these works. He mentioned, then he said, no need any helper. I can manage everything. He told like that. His face also is fresh, full of spirit. Like that.
Very good. Yeah. Thank you. One of the themes, or the theme in this conference, is a defining moment.
Defining
insight. A significant moment of insight. And would you be willing to share with us a defining moment in your life, or defining moments that have made a huge difference for you?
Not very clear.
Defining moments.
I don't know. Of course, my life At age 16, I lost my freedom. Age 24, I lost my own country. At some extent, I think my age, about I think 5, I lost my individual freedom. You see, I got the name of Dalai Lama. Then I put on throne, not my sort of opportunity to play with other sort of other children. Sometimes in Potala, say some sort of retreat. Then with my tutor, tutor very because of that random because of this.
Now, he doesn't, he shows really a stern face.
Stern face. And about 1 hour, 2 hours, you sit with him, and then some sort of prayer or some recitation. Then, you see, on the road of Potala, down there, evening, afternoon, some shepherd, some girls, some boys, daytime their animal, you see, on some sort of pasture, and then returning to their own home. So singing. So then when I heard that, oh, I must be one of them. Much happier, complete freedom. I remain like prisoner. I myself, very young age, you see, not holy, but you see, pretended as a holy boy. So therefore, my life, you see, a lot of problem. And then, of course, eventually, at that time, you see, my sort of study, compulsory study, you see, not much interest. But then, age 13, 12, 13, then I developed genuine interest. And not only learning, but also practice. So these, if may I say so, you see, Buddhist sort of practice is not just praying Buddha or like that, but mainly, you see, firstly, learning about our emotion, then how to tackle emotions. So that immense sort of benefit. I'm not propagating Buddhism. No. I never sort of propagate there. No. But simply, you see, firstly, ancient Indian sort of tradition is much involved training of mind. So this immense help. So as a result, the intelligence also, you see, widens, holistic. And then courage. If you remain with principle, truthful, honest, compassionate mind, that itself, you see, gives you inner strength, self-confidence. No matter knowledge, but you may be a very, very intelligent person, but telling lies, hypocritic way, then actually these are signs of weakness, deep inside, lack of self-confidence. If you have full self-confidence, come. So your life, honest, truthful, transparent. These very much related with warm-heartedness. And warm-heartedness, immense help to reduce self-centered attitude. Most of the destructive emotion come from self-centered attitude. So more altruistic sort of attitude, immense help to reduce self-centered attitude. That automatically reduce this because of the intensity of these destructive emotions. Then also, as I mentioned earlier, our intelligence can use more holistic way. So these very, very helpful. Whole my now last over 60 years since my age 16. Over 60 years. The best advisor, best reliable friend is your own intelligence and your own heartedness, these things. Then when I take some sort of serious decision, I always ask opinion, including sweeper. I ask, this is such a problem. What do you feel? Not only officials, but even sweepers. Sometimes it's very helpful. Like that. So that's my way.
That's wonderful.
To ask, it's an opinion to different people. But sometimes I found, the ordinary, innocent people are more honest than those officials. When officials, I ask something, then they say, oh, wonderful, that's very good, that's very good. Then some innocent people, like sweeper, I ask, then they straightly say, oh, this is not good, bad.
Thank you. I think Anajit has a question.
Your Holiness, you've...
No, not working.
No, it's okay. You've often taught that worrying is a sign of ignorance.
Worry?
No.
Worry.
No.
And you have said that learning comes through education,
Yes.
not religion. So my question is this learning a part of your destiny or your free will? Why doesn't everybody learn?
No.
Why doesn't everybody learn? If learning has to come through education, and if worrying is a sign of ignorance, and if we learn and we become educated about this matter, then we don't worry. But why doesn't everybody learn? Is it because of their free choice or destiny, or both?
I think we have this very sort of unique, special sort of brain there. If we not use that brain properly, then we waste it, wasteful. And then again, now here, including animal, birds, always want happy life. And everyone has the right to achieve that goal. Now here, the happiness or pains, there are two levels. One, sensorial level. That's mainly related with physical. Another, mental level. Now, animals, physical level, we and animals, same. When we feel hungry, try to find something. When we thirst, drink. Animal also, including sex, you see, more or less same. All these sort of pleasure, all these sort of happiness, very much related with the physical. Now, unique thing about a human being is mental level, because of this special brain. So we human being, physical level, quite well, quite satisfied. Then mental level, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of worry, a lot of pain. So that, because of this human intelligence
a lot of ability to think, vision like that. So it creates more sort of worry, more sort of the greed, all these things. These create more problem. So now, since you see, these problems, these pains come from human intelligence, so the antidote also must find from there, same way. So therefore, education is very, very essential in order to reduce ignorance. Now, for example, I think so far, the problem is so far we just pay attention about, I think, may I say so, if may I say so, I feel the existing modern education system is very much oriented about material value.
Yes.
So the existing education is not complete about human requirement, is material facilities, and also the mental sort of mental quality which brings mental peace. So, so as far as the material sort of development is concerned, the education, modern education, really immense help. So that sometimes you see, it looks create more greed. So I mean, this India, Bharat, really wonderful sort of country, wonderful sort of continent. I think most of the, lot of sort of deep philosophical sort of concept, these things, I think the Indus Valley civilization is, I think, topmost compared to Chinese civilization and Egyptian civilization. I think about this really wonderful sort of country, I think I usually sit teasing my Indian friend. I usually sit expressing my Indian friend, historically our guru. So India is our guru's land. Wonderful, wonderful. So I think, generally speaking, the Indians, I think, very, very religious-minded sort of people. However, they worship Shiva, worship Brahma, worship Ganesh. Sometimes it looks like they pray to God, to appeal God, my corrupted life must be successful. Totally wrong. I sometimes pray to God, those corrupted people should get some punishment. Sometimes I go, you see, one Cuban refugee from America came to see me, very Catholic, religious-minded, really. He really believed he's a God. So he told me, see, every occasion when he prayed to God, he prayed to God the Fidel Castro should bring to heaven sooner the better. So it's good, isn't it? He wanted to shorten the Fidel Castro, but in a compassionate way, bring to heaven. Wonderful. So I think we should pray to God, those corrupted people should bring sooner heaven. So these are really. So the modern education, you see, educate people, in a way, greed. Not much sort of stress or not much sort of conviction about principle, about moral principle. And religious people also sometimes you say, use religion for one's own material gain, like that. And sometimes I boldly sort of express, if we religious people, if we religion sincerely, seriously, you see, implement. Otherwise, religion sometimes, you see, sometimes religion teaches us how to act hypocrisy. I think there is real danger. I'm also Holy Lama, and preach nice things, but doing something wrong. So then, I think better to remain non-believer. Openly say, non-believer, and doing, you see, without any sort of principle. We religious people believe religion. Then our day-to-day life must be honest, truthful, and based on moral principle. So I think now historically, as I mentioned earlier, you, Guruji, I think India, should think more seriously about the Indian constitution based on secularism. Now in Indian education must include secular ethics. I think that's very important. But then our education become very holistic, because of the holistic sort of approach. Then generation who come from that kind of education can be more honest people, more truthful. Through that way, more peaceful. Just like 2 days ago, I heard through BBC in Delhi, homeless people, homeless children, big number. And that, according to that program, some student, you see, visit or go to homeless people and spend time with them. One sort of student, you see, expressed in that program, I heard. This is usually, you see, the student from well-being students, they feel those homeless persons are something untouchable, right? No. And look down. When they meet them, they also, some of them, very, very intelligent person. So some time back, so I express, you see, some occasion here in Delhi or some different part of India. You know, there is some kind of a tradition when marriage takes place, you see, spend a lot of money, isn't it? And a huge sort of tent or something. I noticed one place, from airport to come to some other places, I noticed, you see, some open place and a big sort of tent like that. I thought some spiritual sort of meeting or something. Then I asked my driver, what is this? He said, oh, marriage. Spent a lot of money. So later, you see, from some occasion, I expressed that those who are family, well-being family, who have plenty of money, rupee, then the marriage ceremony, or that occasion, they should sort of few trucks, or several trucks with fruits, breads, cheese, and some sort of soft drink, right? And then go different sort of part of the city, and those street children or homeless people share. That's, I think, the best way of ceremony of marriage. I really feel like that. Otherwise, you see, so I think there must be some organizations who really taking these people taking care of these people. Oh, but still, you see, we need more effort. So one individual, if I'm not monk, then now too old. Otherwise, to say, if my marriage should take place, then I will do that. Yes.
Just now, and in your opening remarks, you expressed a lot of optimism. And despite the warfare, poverty, difficulties, what's the basis for your optimism? What gives you optimism now?
I believe human intelligence and human warm-heartedness. Combine these two things. I think at least, as I mentioned earlier, at least those problems which essentially human creation can reduce, if not eliminate. Some mischievous people always there. But overall, I think we can reduce this man-made problem. That I believe, I fundamentally believe. Is out of ignorance? What do you think? That belief is out of ignorance or reason? What do you think? Mindfulness. Good. Thank you. Thank you, yes. I think self-confidence. I think self-confidence, over self-confidence, then become blind self-confidence. Some of these leaders really become too much self-confidence, but over self-confidence, ignorance, right? Out of ignorance, right? And that's blind self-confidence, very dangerous. But self-confidence with sort of fuller knowledge about reality. So confidence combined with intelligence, or more holistic or realistic, I think we human beings, whether God created or in any way, you see, we are something very special. So we have a lot of potential. Now this potential, now if we use this potential properly, then I think our future, I think judging the event within the 20th century, the early part of 20th century and later part of 20th century, I think humanity become more mature. This is my feeling. As I mentioned earlier, I think violence, I think everywhere, people now really fed up violence, talking about peace. Then also I think too much sort of nationalism, just think one's own nation. And that also is a self-centered sort of attitude. Look, European Union, the spirit of European Union, reduce too much self-centered sort of attitude. At least talking about interest or future of whole Europe. I think Adenauer, German President Adenauer, and the French President de Gaulle, through centuries, German and French consider each other enemy, killing, a lot of war, a lot of suffering, a lot of violence. But that forget, think, common interest, and the spirit or concept of European Union started. I think these are a sign of humanity's thinking are becoming more mature. And then religious sort of harmony. I think, obviously, late Pope John Paul. I usually call Polish Pope. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. So the Assisi meeting, you see, now no longer just one religion, but religions, plural, right?
No.
Pluralistic sort of way. So that's the basis of development of genuine harmony. In India, 1,000 years already there. So respect all different religions. Philosophical field, intellectuals, among intellectuals, some sort of debate. That's wonderful, but with respect. So the real sort of basis, is the secular respect, different sort of views, different philosophical views, even non-believers respect them. Like that. So I think there is sort of sufficient reasons. And then again, you see ecology problem. Through education, now we realize ecology is so important. These all, out of ignorance, then I think, as I mentioned earlier, out of ignorance, we just neglect about our inner value. Through awareness, through education, I think we will promote this inner value.
Thank you. Your Holiness, I think we're at the conclusion of our time. I want to thank you very much for your words.
A few minutes, then there's some questions from the audience. I would like to take at least 2 questions from here, this group, 2 questions from there.
Your Holiness, it's an honor to be in your presence, and I have a simple question. How do you create a balance in the real world between attachment and detachment?
Repeat, louder.
How do you create a balance in the real world between attachment and detachment?
Attachment, detachment, balance.
I think here, of course, my understanding about this English word, I think sometimes may not be very correct. But you see, I usually make distinction. Desire and wanting and attachment, 2 things. Attachment must involve emotion, biased. So some desire, some sort of want something. With attachment, then often become unrealistic desire. Without attachment, through analyze, through fuller knowledge about the reality, then develop enthusiasm, desire to achieve that without attachment. So that usually I make as a love or compassion. Without attachment, then you see can extend towards entire human being or entire sentient being. Compassion with attachment cannot, because attachment is very much oriented about others' attitude. Genuine love and compassion not oriented their attitude, but themselves, or being itself. So I think love, self-love, self-love, self-cherishing, not oriented about one's own sort of attitude towards self, no, but self want happy life, do not want suffering. So develop sense of caring yourself. So that not oriented attitude, but self itself. So that can extend towards your enemy. As far as their attitude is concerned, negative. Sometimes you need some counter sort of countermeasure or opposition. But as a being, you can keep compassion, love, respect. So that unbiased compassion can extend towards your enemy. Attachment cannot go to your enemy. Clear? Next question? Yes, then?
Your Holiness, you asked when you came in, what is the meaning of spa? And spa, you asked when you came in, what is spa?
Yes.
And one of the meanings is health through water, salus per aqua. Now, I understand in Tibet there is a hot spring that the lamas use, and I would like to know the significance to your tradition of the bathing in the hot water and the hot springs from the earth. How is it used, and do you still use the hot spring?
In Tibet, I never use, you see, because the hot springs are a hot spring. But in India in Kasa, in Kulu, I used to visit there. I don't know how much sort of medical sort of affection, I don't know, but quite comfortable. I think you should ask those specialists. You see, I think the minerals, because of the water, hot spring come, the different stones, that makes differences. So according to those experts, some hot spring is good for such illness. They clearly sort of mention like that. So like that. Otherwise, I don't know. Now one, yeah, yes.
Social media. Facebook, that industry, social media, Facebook, Twitter, that industry,
No. You know, one sort of story. Usually I sort of mentioning, describing, my generation is belongs to generation of 20th century. So I think you also, my generation, you also belongs my generation.
Yes.
So those young people actually below, say, 30, 20, 15, you are truly generation of the 21st century. So I know something about old technology.
No.
Old technology. Now this modern technology, I don't know. So one time, you see, I received one telephone, a call from America, from one of my friend. Then my secretary brought this mobile phone. And I listen. Then when I answer, I immediately go to care. Then my secretary told me, no need. just keep like this. It can talk or can answer.
Your Holiness, what do you see for the future of Tibetan culture, and what can the world do to support that effort?
Tibetan culture, I usually describe culture of peace, culture of non-violence, basically culture of compassion. So now, more and more people really showing us the usefulness about that kind of culture. And then, Tibetan culture of compassion very much related with Buddhism, particularly Nalanda tradition. Therefore, I describe Indians are traditionally our guru. So therefore, as far as sort of Buddhist culture is concerned, now in China, about, I think 3 years ago, one Peking University carried a survey how many Buddhists in China. They concluded over 300 million Buddhists. Many of these Buddhist educated people, and many of them showing interest about Tibetan Buddhism, actually following Tibetan Buddhism. And then if I think, may I say so, we chela of Indian Guru. But regarding sort of also the work, promotion of human knowledge, now I mean here, knowledge about human psychology, human mind. I think the chela is more active than Guruji. So I think, as I mentioned earlier, last over 30 years, as a result of our serious sort of engagement with scientists, mainly cosmology, neurobiology, and physics, like quantum physics, then psychology, these 4 fields, you see, time passes, sort of lot of sort of the interest develop both sides. We Buddhists, immense sort of useful information from modern scientific knowledge in matters like that, and also cosmology, these things. For inner science is concerned, science of mind is concerned, you see, they found sort of immense sort of useful to, to get from ancient psychology. So I think Tibetan Buddhist culture, now I usually make 3 parts our knowledge. One part simply science, one part concept philosophy, one part then religion, prayer, meditation, like that. So the science part of the science part can be universal. So already now in America, we already, I think now over 26 years, or 26 years, we already have one institution, Mind and Life Institution. Many scientists involved. So we almost annually taking sort of meeting. Now, next month, end of this month. So we going to, because of that 27th,
No.
28th sort of meeting take place. So these things, I was told in some Chinese universities also, you see, showing interest. But because you see my name there, so they a little bit sort of uneasy like that. So some of these Chinese officials, you see, since I think last few years, now some changing. Otherwise, you see, they describe me as a demon. Then sometimes I sort of jokingly sort of telling some people, I'm demon with horn, however, more compassionate demon. So I think, you see, unbiasedly or realistically looking Tibetan culture, it's quite sort of the relevant culture today's world. So I feel it will remain. And then inside Tibet, last, you see, over decades, some hardliner communist officials, for example, one party meeting, one party secretary told ultimate source of danger of Tibet separation from China is Tibetan Buddhist faith. So accordingly, since you see, that person, you see, carried the responsibility, stepping up, control, monastic sort of ancient monastic education system. But these are now changing, then also, you see, they very much sort of also they control learning Tibetan language, Tibetan script. Now these are changing. Otherwise, these are very, very, very serious, very serious. But now things are changing, slowly, some changing. So meantime, you see, from outside, including India, I think more people, particularly more educated people, go there and study, and particularly ecology. Tibetan ecology is very, very delicate. Some Chinese ecologist, expert, you see, wrote article which I saw about 3-4 years ago. I saw that expert, Chinese ecologist, he described Tibetan plateau, he called third pole, because effect global warming from Tibetan plateau is as much as South Pole and the North Pole. So it is very, very serious matter, very serious matter. So more people go there. I think ecology is concerned. I think people from outside go there with full sort of cooperation with Chinese ecologists, then study how much damage already done, what is the best way to protect delicate Tibetan ecology. Like that, I think the Tibetan culture, now more and more people now really showing genuine interest. Now, for example, a small example, now last few years, number of Chinese, originally from Taiwan, last few years from mainland China, with a lot of difficulties, you see, come to see me, and sort of also they receive some Buddhist sort of teaching or Buddhist explain lecture on Buddhism, like that. So there are interest about Tibetan Buddhism, Tibetan culture, Buddhist culture. It seems to see increasing, like that. And then mainly, ultimately, Tibetan themselves, 6 million Tibetan inside Tibet, in spite of many difficulties, you see, they really love our own culture, our own language, really, like that. So, thank you.
Thank you.